All right. Well, hello everybody. Of course, gonna wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come in. Hope everybody's having a good week thus far. Yeah, I was just on RJ. I was just on Critical Blast show earlier when he was interviewing Liberty and was promoting his latest comic. Made references to Rick Astley, so now I've got his songs in my head, particularly "Cry for Help." So, anyways, hope everybody, as I said, is having a good week here. Let me see. As usual, StreamYard and YouTube are being nasty little critters. I got another like, so thank you for whoever popped in and dropped a like. That's appreciated. Yeah. Anyways, just waiting to see for more people to come in. Actually, I've got to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. I'll leave you some music to listen to as I'm wait. Be right back. All right, I'm back. As I said, just wait for more people to show up. Um, as always, guys, as we're covering the articles tonight, feel free to, if anything catches your attention or anything like that, feel free to comment. Um, we're coming up on 5 minutes here. Again, we'll wait a few more minutes for people to come in. I guess I'm waiting here because I don't see anybody else. All right. Anyway. Oh, hey, RJ. Says what, Mike? What, Mike? Hey, Mike. Hey, RJ. Thanks for dropping in. Um, yeah, I just sent you a message just to let you know I was gonna be starting out with a Neil Gaiman article here. Let's see, and of course, anyways, let's see what we have here. Um, Still listed on only one viewer. Yeah, StreamYard StreamYard and YouTube are being a little screwy tonight. Anyway, 7:45. So we're coming up. So okay, so here's what we have on tab. We're closing up to 8 minute mark to where I can kind of go over what. So I've got 5 articles I'm going to be going over tonight. 3 of them will be comics related and a couple anime related, including Neil Gaiman's got some more things to talk about in regards to he's going to share a clip from the Netflix Sandman adaptation as to why he chose Kirby Howell Baptiste in the role of Death. Also, on the anime side of it, we're going to talk a little bit about Right Stuff and anime dropping adult projects, which I know James alluded to on Sunday when we were talking about it. Mappa revs up the hype for Chainsaw Man anime. That's coming out soon. We're talking a little bit about that. A couple of DC articles, including one where they're dropping the comics designation from its branding as um, in what many believe to be a sign that they're moving away from the publishing side of things. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the Superman graphic novel coming out about teenage Superman fighting online hate and anger. So another SJW story for us to gag over. So that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at tonight. Um, hopefully we, and as I always say, anything in what we cover tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment on it, as we are probably going to go ahead now because yeah, we're coming up on the 10-minute mark. So I think I'll go ahead and get things underway here. So without any further ado, here we go. All right, so here we go, right here. Okay, Neil Gaiman shares clip from The Sandman to illustrate why he chose Kirby Howell Baptiste to play Death in Netflix's adaptation. Article by J.B. Augustine, published August 8th, which was yesterday. Okay, now the big thing here, I think, what they're talking about is there's been a lot of backlash over the fact that in the comics, a lot of these characters, Death, Dream, and all of them, were more pasty faced, white, and instead, they decided when they decided to do the Netflix adaptation here that they were going to like try to make do the whole diversity angle and cast a whole bunch of different ethnicities and orientations and all that, to like hit the brownie points, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and get into it. So here we go. Neil Gaiman used a scene from the newly released Netflix series adapting its celebrated Sandman comics to demonstrate why Kirby Howell Baptiste plays the usually whitish snow death of the endless and why he approves of the cast. Um, scene, scene is a 3-minute clip isolated and posted to YouTube by IGN, which Gaiman shared on his Facebook page. So if anyone out there is wondering why I cast Kirby Hal Baptiste's death, this clip from episode 6 is here to show you why, he writes. In the scene, Death and Dream, Tom Sturridge, enter the home of Harry, an elderly man who is seen playing a fragment of Franz Schubert's quote unquote unfinished symphony on the violin. Seeing them, he stops and greets his guests. Death is okay with him continuing, but he remarks the Austrian composer never finished the composition. Soon bemused by how Death knows him, it dawns on the elderly gent who she is and why she's there. His time is up. The man is obviously not ready to go, so humble and kind with her assignment, Death allows him to pray one last time. Harry prays the Shema, or Shema Yisrael in Hebrew and English. Found in Deuteronomy 6:4, the prayer goes, quote, "Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God. Yahweh is one," unquote, and is a nightly morning prayer that encapsulates monotheistic Judeo-Christian belief. Yes, since he knows he's about to move on to the next life, he figures he'd pray one last time. Not just death, unity, not just death, Unity Kincaid and Rose Walker and Neil Walker and Hector Hall and the list goes on. Yeah, basically they did a lot of and if I as I would understand it, I mean this particular version of Sandman I don't know as much about. I know probably more about the Golden Age Sandman, but this particular Sandman, from what I understand, these characters who were in the end list were supposed to be more pasty faced. Um, so, dating back to biblical times, it was commonly recited, then including by Jesus. "Quote: I'm glad I said the Shema." Unquote. Harry says, "Quote: My old man always said it would guarantee you a place in heaven." Unquote. The scene is derived from an incident in the Vertigo comic, and it plays out nearly the same as on the page, with a few exceptions. Aside from how different Death looks, Harry has facial hair and a yarmulke in the issue. Um, he also lays on a couch in a dingy apartment, as opposed to the chair and condo like confines in the clip. So I guess here's the comic. Um, here's the comic representation of the comic version of that scene we just looked at there. Now, again, I would think that more or less, um, the way they look right there in the comics, that is the true way they're supposed to look. Because if you think about it, we're all ghosts, in the afterlife, right? So the idea we are supposed to be more pale. know, of course, anything to push an agenda, right? uh, Reactions to Harry's last moments being brought to life in 4K are mostly positive in the comments of Gaiman's Facebook post and IGN YouTube video. Some were brought to tears by the sequence's poignancy, and they are approving of how Baptiste's portrayal of death. You'll see more of her if you have a Netflix subscription, and all 10 episodes of the Sandman debut season as are now streaming. If you took the opportunity to watch, let us know what you think of Kirby Hal Baptiste's performance and the adaptation as a whole. Well, I didn't, so anyways, so there we go. So that article actually went kind of quick there. Let's see. Hey, Rick. Thanks for popping in. If you guys haven't yet, if you guys can like and share the stream, that'd be very much appreciated. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. 2 of the endless had regular skin tones. Destiny. Okay, so all right. Well, thank you for that clarification there, RJ. Hey, Rick. Anyways, so our next article, we're gonna do a couple anime articles, and we'll get back to some comic articles here. One of them you see right there, but that's not the one we're going to start off with. We're going to start down here with this one. And as always, of course, feel free to comment if anything grabs your attention. There's a scene, of course, from Dragon Ball. I got Bulma right there. Anime retailer Right Stuff Anime drops adult products after being acquired by Crunchyroll. And I know this was also talked a little bit about. We did kind of touch upon Crunchyroll's purchase of Right Stuff recently. And of course, we talked a little bit about it on Sunday as well during the open mic on RJ Channel. So Nerdigan, article by Nerdigan is published yesterday. So, as anime has become more mainstream in recent years, more and more English language publishers have felt the need to make their given localizations more appropriate for Western audiences. The problem with that is most of the people who like it, whether they like it as is, they don't need to make it more appropriate. Okay? With the latest examples being retailer Right Stuff Anime's announcement, they will no longer be selling adult materials following their acquisition by Sony via Crunchyroll. Well, that means boom! No scenes like this anymore. That's from Fire Force chapter 281. That's from the manga. The alarming news came on August 4th, which was last Thursday, when Right Stuff announced via their own Twitter account, quote, "We are excited to announce that today Right Stuff is joining the Crunchyroll family. We will work together to get you more of what you want when you want it. Of course, except when it comes to adult fare, right?" On it, unquote. That is, as it turns out, unless what the fans want is considered to be, in smaller quotes, too spicy. There you see the image right there. Let me just quickly see if you guys are saying anything on this part, anyways. All right, not yet. Okay. In an FAQ linked by the retailer elaborating on the terms of acquisition, Right Stuff assured customers that there, quote, should be no changes to ordering, unquote, and they will, quote, will continue to provide the same wide variety of products we have been offering for 35 years. Wow, 35 years. I didn't think it was that long. I didn't think Right Stuff, well, okay, I guess granted, maybe they may not have been an online store for 35 years. Maybe they've been a store for 35 years. Maybe that's what they mean. Because 35 years, I'd put them back in 1987. That they've been doing this since 1987. But I don't think internet's been this way since all the way back there, unless you're specifically looking for erotica products. Quote, as part of our new Right Stuff Crunchyroll unification, we will be phasing out the erotica genre content and product, unquote. They wrote in a specific erotica removal items FAQ. Quote, new orders for these items will not be accepted and they have been removed from rightstuffanime.com. Yeah, but the talk has been that they'll probably set up a separate site for the more erotica. There's something on Trinity 7 here. The retailer then revealed that not only will existing orders will be honored, unquote, through a newly created storefront, Arrow Anime Store, but that said storefront will be the, quote, place to continue to order these items going forward. So as we just mentioned, they're setting up a separate store for more erotic material. Hey, Robert. And if you guys haven't already, if you guys can, of course, like and share the stream to where we can get more people in here, that'd be appreciated. Thank you for those who've already done so. Okay. Anyways, getting back to the article here. In a welcome letter published to Arrow Anime Store front page, the company's alleged president, an individual named Wendy C, explained, quote, as part of the new Right Stuff Crunchyroll acquisition, they will no longer be carrying mature anime content. We're going to be taking on this line of business, and I'm really excited to have you here and have the opportunity to be of service, unquote. Again, they're setting up a separate site for the more erotica stuff. Quote, we're going to make every effort to make the shopping experience in our shop as similar as possible to what you've been accustomed to, unquote, she added. And then I guess there's the picture of that particular site there. Noting that some customers, quote, might have concerns about orders you had already made at Right Stuff for mature items, quote, Wendy assured, quote, if you had an open order with Right Stuff, we're working to quickly to create accounts and import those orders into our system. It may take us a bit, but we want to make sure it's done right, unquote. Quote, the goal is to make this move as easy as possible for you and to ensure you get the items you're looking for, unquote. She said, providing a link to a separate FAQ for customer service support centric inquiries. Quote, we will carry the full line of erotic anime, manga, games, figures, and other merchandise. We also will continue to offer anime products under the Critical Mass Video label. And some items we will offer exclusively through the site. Stay tuned for details, unquote. So here's some of the here's some of the material I guess they're talking about. Okay. That last panel was very interesting. Uh, let's see. Let's see what. Oh, uh, Rick was responding to Robert. Your trading cards were put in the mail today. Did you enjoy your read of the show number one? Okay, good to see you guys promoting your stuff as well. Uh, anyways, getting back to the article here. Right Step's new anti-aero policy drew a wave of backlash from across the industry, with both fans and creators outraged at the censorious decision. Quote, in gaming, Sony, Xbox, Nintendo are duking it out, unquote, opined on On Takahashi, a representative of Dojinshi publisher Irotori Comics. Quote, but Sony finds themselves an unopposed market in anime. Yeah, and this was talked about quite a bit. We actually read an article last week about the censorship that's going on with games and manga in particular. Kind of went over that as well. Quote, potential to consolidate and become the, in smaller quote, beginning of anime, which is honestly quite frightening, unquote, he wrote. Quote, first thing they did was ban erotic stuff off right stuff too. Yeah, well, the thing is that what it sounds like they're doing, though, it's not exactly, yeah, they are banning it from the site, but they're still setting up a separate site where people can still get it. So it's not like they're trying to eliminate product. I think even they know that they would try to just totally cut that content out would be stupid. Because there is a market for it. They're just not. They're just creating a separate site to handle those particular um, titles. Quote, they removed interspecies reviewers Blu-ray from the store, unquote, observed Operating Fall co-owner at Next Night, unquote, something they put out exclusively from them. I'm done as a customer here personally. So yeah, well, they may put the interspecies reviewers up in that new Arrow anime store. And for those of you who don't know about interspecies reviewers, basically it's an anime, it's a manga and anime about aliens who go around basically like raiding brothels. Basically, um, you could argue it would be like sitting there. If you guys, for those of you who are old enough to remember, if you guys remember Siskel and Ebert, instead of going and reviewing movies, they'd go and review, you know, brothels, whorehouses, that kind of thing. That's what interspecies. But of course, the characters all aliens in that one. Anyways, in a response to Twitter user Danny Paul Bellies expressing quote hope in brackets that in smaller quotes erotic content doesn't start to implicitly mean anything challenging queer or outside the norm or anything, unquote. At Bunny Cartoon noted that BL or Boys Love Yaoi seemed to be hypocritically exempted from the erotica purge. Hmm. That's interesting. Let's see. Quote, it's interesting because it looks like you can still order, say, MADK from Sublime, um, which I would definitely put under an, in smaller quotes, erotica work. Um, parentheses, she said. Um, quote, but all the outright hentai is gone. Even the, in small quote, history of hentai book isn't listed anymore. That is kind of interesting, and that would be kind of hypocritical if they're still keeping like the what would be considered the male erotica, basically the boys love stuff, the yaoi stuff, you know. Um, at best girly Yeezy asserted, quote, "Oh, this is why they got rid of free Canadian shipping, over 250 on Right Stuff a few weeks ago. Suddenly, it was $100 to get a few manga shipped here." Unquote. Yeah. In other words, she's commenting that, well, and that's the thing. And even though we did mention this on Sunday when we were talking about it with like James and I were kind of talking about it here. Um, yeah, there's still high dive on the streaming side of it, but basically Sony is trying to work its way into a monopoly on anime and manga. That's their ultimate goal. They're trying to become a monopoly. But of course, as long as, at least on the anime side of it and on the anime streaming side of it, as long as high dive can still stay afloat, um, they should be fine. And from the dubbing side of it, like we saw that Funimation kind of has somewhat consolidated with like Bang Zoom out here in LA and stuff. But and even with NYAV Post, Michael Centurna Class's company, but you still have ADV, well, not ADV, but Sentai Filmworks still doing their thing, and now of course Vic and Anime Matsura are starting up their own company. Vic Mignogna and Anime Matsura are starting up their own dubbing company as well. So see how all this kind of pans out over time, though. Um, Anyways, as we continue on with the article here, let's see. Before I do that, let me go back and see if you guys are saying anything of interest here. Um, okay, so anyways, I know that Rick and Robert are exchanging some information there. So, anyways, continuing on with the article here, another person who contributed on the many hindsight theories of early signs of acquisition was journalist George Hovath. Quote, well, I guess we all now know why Sentai had the massive fire sale that screamed empty our stuff out of Right Stuff's warehouse ASAP. Ah, last month, unquote. Said independent anime journalist George. Yeah, I guess if they pulled out a lot of their content from, if Sentai did pull out a lot of their content from, they'll probably be selling it through their own site, through the Sentai Filmworks site. You know, and the thing is, Sentai, like ADV before them, ha- granted, they probably do have some like more erotic stuff, which would include some harem anime. Um, they did a lot of, they would dub a lot of the work from like Kyoto Animation, for example. So, yeah. So let's see. Quote, they obviously knew this was coming and wanted to get as far away from Crunchyroll as possible. Unquote. Yeah, because granted, you have a few of the Funimation voice actors who also, are still working somewhat for Sentai as well. So, but even that workload is getting less and less over time. You still, have people like Monica and Jamie and Greg Ayres, Monica Real, Jamie Markey, Greg Ayres. Um, Now there are some who are fairly active in both companies, like Brittany Karbowski and Lucy Christian, who are actually still active in both companies, but for the most part, so anyways, continuing on with the article here, quote, I'm not going to call this in small quote, the death of right stuff or anything silly like that, unquote, he added, quote, but the idea that the American anime industry is just continually contracting into more and more of a nigh monopoly or at least part of a larger entity is really disheartening. And I totally agree with that. I honestly like things better when, you guys have probably heard me talk about this before. There was a time when you'd have six main, what I called dub capitals, right? You did have Funimation in Dallas. You had ADV before, of course, eventually became Sentai in Houston. You'd have the New York crowd. You'd have two or three in New York, kind of represent the New York dub voice actors. You'd have like NYAV Post, but you also had Central Park Media. You had Four Kids. You had TPCI and all that. Let's see. You'd have a few out here, and kind of working together out here. Studiopolis out of LA, Bang Zoom as well. Formerly also um, Bondi, and then you'd have up in Canada, you'd have Ocean Studios and its subsidiary, Blue Water. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that guy's statement. It is kind of disheartening to see this consolidation happening. I do hope though that like Sentai and also I do hope that Sentai and even Vic's new company with and sure, help move things forward, and both continue for for that try to continue to be competitive against Sony and for Vic's company to become competitive as well. Ultimately, Horvath pondered, quote, I mean, who's truly left as this, I think he meant to say at this point, as independent, and small quotes. At this point, there's Discotech Media, which is kind of based out of New York, Media Blasters, which is also based out of New York, seemingly Nozomi, which apparently is currently not included in the Right Stuff buyout. Yeah, Nozomi Entertainment was part of Right Stuff as well for a while there, and that's it. Everyone else is owned by someone else. Um, Jacob Grady, the founder and CEO of the world's largest English language hentai publisher, Faku, um, whose store was one of the many affected by the great, in smaller quotes, Amazon manga light novel purge of 2020, on smaller quote, tweeted, quote, what Crunchyroll quietly left out of this announcement is that they are removing all hentai 18 plus anime manga. In fact, they already have, unquote. Um, Quote, this is a massive blow, Right Stuff was a big account for Faku, unquote, he added. Um, Quote, and one of the only retailers that really embraced 18 plus anime manga. Not good. Amidst the various discussions surrounding the acquisition, some fans have wondered how the deal will affect Right Stuff's Nozomi Entertainment subdivision, um, which has been working on a number of Kickstarter backed projects, including a dub of the classic 1985 ecchi sci fi comedy series Dirty Pair. Thankfully, Right Stuff CEO Sean Kleckner um, posted a recent update to the Dirty Pair Dubs Kickstarter page, wherein he declared, quote, I want to reassure you that everything for this project is still being handled by the Nozomi team, and nothing about the dub or the Blu-ray release will be affected by this acquisition. We only have to hope that he's telling us the truth, of course. Unquote. Quote, also, fulfillment of all Kickstarter rewards will continue to be handled by Right Stuff Anime. Um, the same as all our previous Kickstarter projects, Kleckner reassured fans, quote, we will have more updates on the progress of the dub coming soon, so please look forward to it. So there we go with that one. All right, so with that, now I'll get to the next article here. As always, guys, of course, feel free to comment if anything grabs your attention there as we're going through this stuff. And with that, all right, so here's the next article we're going to look through, which also came about from yesterday. Mappa revs up the hype for Chainsaw Man anime, reveals new trailer and release date. And this has been getting talked about quite a bit of late. The Chainsaw Man and they've been talking a lot about. This is coming out pretty article by Nerdigans Inc. and it's published August 8th, 2020, published yesterday. So here we go. After a long wait, it's finally time to rip the pull cord and get ready for blood, gore, and hype, as a highly anticipated anime adaptation of Chainsaw Man has finally received both its first trailer and official release date. So there we go. Some of the artwork from the manga. Chapter 92, Zombie Blood, and Chainsaw 2020, Shueisha. As debuted during an August 5th, which was last Friday, of course, special live stream event held on Mappa's YouTube channel, Anime Adaptation's third official preview gave us an inside look at the studio's interpretation of the chaotic world created by mangaka Tatsuki Fujimoto. The trailer starts with the scene as seen at the end of the series' first chapter, wherein a high-ranking devil hunter, Makima, discovers Denji after his first transformation into Chainsaw Man. A shot-by-shot comparison of the moment when the Public Safety Division enters the warehouse, as seen in the manga and the anime, and provided by Twitter fan account Chainsaw Man News at Chainsaw Man News, can be seen below. So the left there is the manga account, the right is the anime account. Oh, yeah. Following a montage of various shots taken from across the metropolitan Tokyo area, the trailer flashes back to the very beginning of the series and shows a poor and destitute Genji um, snuggling in bed with the adorable devil Fuchika while dreaming of a better life. This is probably what they're talking about here. Next, we see Makima um, standing in front of the Public Safety Commission higher up and discussing the topic of humans like Denji who can transform into devils. She can then be heard proposing two options to Denji: either die as a devil by her hand or quote, work for me as a human. Unquote. Now, we don't know if this is simply a mistranslation or the same change is found in the original Japanese script. But it's important to note that in the manga, Makima's second offer is worded or or be kept by me as a human. Okay. So she's basically saying right there, I can either kill you as a devil or I can keep you as a human, like a pet. So it would be kind of a comparison. I would say. For those unaware, let's just say that this word change would imply a significantly different relationship between the two than the smaller quotes master pet dynamic seen in her next line. Quote, if you're my pet, I'll give you food. Unquote. Now, mind you, remember, unlike in Western comics where we read it left to right, things in manga are usually read right to left. Um, uh, Aki Hayakawa then comes into the focus as the trailer pans to a shot of him adapted from the series' third chapter when he and Denji go on patrol smoking a cigarette in an alleyway. Suddenly, he pulls Denji into an alleyway, proceeds to beat the heck out of him, leaving him war- um, with the warning warned that if he does not take his new job as a devil hunter seriously, quote unquote, you'll die. After a brief shot of Aki with his hair down in his apartment, a cup of coffee and a cigarette in hand, as he declares that only devil hunters with a strong conviction will survive, the Blood Fiend herself finally makes her trailer debut. Beginning with what based on her movements appears to be a tease of the anime's adaptation of her introductory moment, Power is next seen running naked down the road before revealing her dislike for both humans and devils. I guess that's her name power. Oh, look at that. It looks like she's got more like fangs than actual teeth. What is she, a vampire or something like that? The trailer then turns to a montage of Denji's life, interspersed with such scenes as him standing in the rain at his father's grave, the lead up to his making a deal with Pochita to become Chainsaw Man, and his murder at the hands of a brutal attack from the zombie devils. Unfortunately, the trailer does not show the actual zombie devils themselves, but does show the damage they inflict on Denji. Yep. Nappa then presents us with a look at the main trio in action, starting with Denji, um, who is seen pulling the cord on his chest in order and subsequently undergoing his blood gushing transformation into the legendary King Kong. Whoa, look at that gory experience. Whoa. Um, Followed by Power, who is seen making use of her blood manipulation ability to conjure up a large hammer um, while jumping off the roof toward what we assume is the sea cucumber devil. Hmm. And finally, Aki, who takes aim at the leech devil, his fingers being used as a sight. Um, I guess kind of like Yusuke and Yu Yu Hakusho when he would utilize his spirit gun. That's where you can draw some comparisons with it. Um, through which he can see his opponent piercing Denji's body with its tongue. Okay. And summons his own devil partner, the wolf devil, to chomp down on the enemy. In parentheses here, suffice to say, Kon is not your average devil and will become very significant to Aki's overall story. Finally, the trailer returns to Denji's intense fights against the Leech Devil and Bat Devil, as distinguished by the fact that the hero um, goes from battling against an enemy with purple and fleshy limbs before suddenly taking on one who is gray and furry, before ending on a shot of Chainsaw Man diving blade first um, through the Bat Devil and creating a sea of purple blood. Whoa. As the credits on the trailer begin to roll, Mappa confirms that Chainsaw Man will begin airing in October 2022, thus joining a jam-packed fall 2022 line. Now, just to remind everybody, in Japan they have 4 major release months: January in the winter, April in the spring, July in the summer, and October in the fall. So those are basically the 4 times a year that anime gets released. You know, where you have a major release, particularly the more television style programming. Um, Thus joining a jam-packed fall 2022 anime season that includes other highly anticipated series such as Bleach, um, Spy Family, Blue Lock, and Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. Okay. All right. So, anyways, in the wake of the trailer's debut, numerous members of its creative team took to social media to share their excitement at both its reveal and confirmation of the series release date. Unsurprisingly, ahead of the class, Fujimoto actually teased the trailer roughly a week before it premiered, tweeting on July 29th, quote, I recommend watching the new Chainsaw Man PV because it's really awesome. If PV means preview there. Then on the day of the trailer release, he returned to write, the Mappa people gave me snacks and drinks, and they were all nice people. So I recommend them. Yeah, we're talk about a little bit of bribery there, huh? Quote, they also gave me a financier, he added, at Hageyama Koharu. Um, Taking to his own account, director Ryu Nakayama asserted, quote, we are serious about this preview and will continue to work hard until October, unquote. Quote, and our cast is the absolute best four people I have ever seen, unquote. He continued, I chose them with confidence, quote, I chose them with confidence. Please apply for the world premiere. Please apply for the world premiere, unquote. And of course, if you want to see I think the preview, the trailer is probably on YouTube if you want to go look at it. Albeit it will probably be in Japanese. Still, it might be good to see. The character designer for Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, Kazutaka Sugiyama, revealed that he would be quote, participating in character design and supervising the full-length feature, unquote. Quote, I'm working hard with the cast and various staff members, unquote. He said, quote, I hope you will support us. Thank you very much for your support, unquote. Quote, I'm participating in this project as an action director, announced Black Clover director Tatsuya Yoshihara. Quote, and the action is being handled by very strong original picture artists who don't need any supervision from me, unquote. So kind of preferring to take the hands-off approach and just letting his artists work. That sounds interesting. Sounds kind of cool. Likewise, the man behind the soundtracks for critically acclaimed anime, including Devilman Crybaby and Space Dandy, Kensuke Ushio, um, surprise revealed that he would be serving as composer for Chainsaw Man. Quote, CSM new preview is here. Chainsaw Man new preview is here. Unquote, he tweeted. Quote, kept you waiting, huh? Quote, I voiced Denji in Chainsaw Man. It's a great honor to become Chainsaw Man. That's a dream come true. Unquote. Kiku Nosuke Kiko Kiko no Soke Toya tweeted about his debut role. Quote, I've always admired a world drawn by Mr. Tatsuki. Fujimoto. It's still hard to believe that I'll give it my all. Don't miss out, unquote. Komori Kusunoki, who is Lara um, Tchaikovskaya in Tiger and the Bunny 2, and Yoko Tia Noto in Bastard Heavy Metal Devil Dark Fantasy, informed her fans, quote, in the TV anime Chainsaw Man, I will be playing the role of Makima, unquote. Quote, I am beyond honored to be cast as my favorite character, Makima, in a work that I love, unquote, she promised. Quote, I will try my best to convey the worldview depicted by Mr. Tatsuki Fujimoto through my ears as well. I look forward to working with you. Now that's a refreshing comment right there. Look at that. She's gonna represent what the manga creator um, view of it is. She's not gonna put her own 2 cents in. She's not going to like put her values. She's gonna do what she's called to do and act out, the world of the mangaka or the manga creator. That's pretty cool. Moving as we further down the article here, sharing a photo of flowers with a framed image of Makima and Denji in the background, she added, quote, the picture is my treasure mentioned in the official comment. And the bouquet of flowers congratulated by the office staff to be able to see that scene in the video. I'm looking forward to the broadcast with the feeling of a fan, unquote. Wow. It's nice to hear the VAs, talking like this. That's just so cool. Quote, I was so happy to be part of the anime that I prayed every day to the picture of Makima that hung in my house until I was accepted for the audition. I gotta go back and look at this. Yes, this is the picture this I think is the picture or scene she's talking about right here. Look at that. Oh, the latest preview is awesome, really great, unquote. She included, quote, there are so many scenes to watch. The movement is tremendous. Please watch lots and lots and lots, unquote. And sometimes they sound like little kids, don't they? They sound like little kids in a candy store. It's just so refreshing to see that. I Rose, who has lent her voice to several beloved characters, including uh, Jolny Cujo in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 6 Stone Ocean, um, Manjiro, Manjiro Sano in Tokyo Adventures, and Manatsu Natsumi in Tropical Rouge Precure tweeted, quote, I'm so happy to be able to play my favorite character, Power, since I've loved her since the original. I'll do my best to play 888 Power at full throttle. Enjoy, unquote. Now, okay. She's kind of pretty. Crunchyroll confirmed earlier this year that they will be simulcasting Chainsaw Man for English language audiences. I wonder who will be handling the dub of that. That'll be interesting to see. Anyways, I do need to step away for a moment here. Although I'll be back soon. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll set the next comic up, or next article up. All right, so let me. Anyways, anyways, as I said, I need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back, but I'll turn on some music for you guys while I'm gone. Or just not dead air here. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Um, so now we'll be getting on to the next comics article here. Um, just check that real quick. All right, so anyways, continue on with the articles then. Um, here we are, Mark. Good. Okay. DC website drops comic designation from its branding and a sign that suggests the company could be moving away from publishing. Article by J.D. Augustine published earlier today. And it's been talked about the last few days. Um, I know there have been a few people who've been mentioning it, talking about it. So this may have some to do with, of course, uh, David Zaslav as well here. So, anyways, DC's website is now known as simply DC.com instead of the original DCComics.com. Quietly and officially dropping the quote-unquote comics designation from the branding. A press release shared by DC Publicity early this month, publisher unveiled that its fan-focused portal at DC.com, which will give fans easy access to all things DC, from fan first news to DC Universe Infinite, DC Shop, DC Community, and DC on HBO Max, unquote. The new homepage includes weekly drops of new video content, editorial deep dives and discussions, digital experiences, and a single unified user profile with access to DC Universe Infinite and the DC community. Quote, DC.com is a celebration of everything across the DC multiverse, and we couldn't be more excited for today's launch. Unquote. DC General Manager, Senior Vice President Annie DePies stated in the release. Quote, we are doubling down on DC's digital ecosystem, and there has never been a better time to be a DC fan. And with this one-stop shop, we're bringing everything together in one place to easily access, celebrate your fandom, unquote. With the focus probably being more on movies and television than on comics. Viewed as a streamlining move to push DC as an entertainment company going forward, highlighted by the multiverse. The change has some folks worried it is only the beginning of a downward slide away from publishing. Former DC Comics artist Ethan Van Sciver, who predicted years ago that DC would be sold or shut down by AT&T when they ran the show, told his followers in a dismayed YouTube short, um, quote, I don't feel so good, comic book pals, unquote. A sudden shift comes in the wake of tons of projects, but particularly Batgirl getting canned Alan Horn and the returning Alan Horn being appointed a consultant by Warner Brothers Discovery, some oversight of DC. In terms of all media, not just comics, the brand is undergoing a restructure, and more than that, studio operations are under a threat of a great reset. Yep. And I know there have been a lot of people, including Yellow Flash, who've been real celebrating this. this, let's see. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav wants key IPs like Superman to be restored to their former glory and used wisely. Not pushing, not pushing a gay relationship, right there, David. To achieve this, he wants a DC studio more in line with the way Marvel is structured, down to a Kevin Feige figure being at the helm. Horn could be that guy no one knows yet. The comics may be put in sync with what happens at the studio level, but if not, as Van Sciver has long suspected, responsibility on the print side could get outsourced to other firms, while Warner Brothers Discovery still owns the rights. Increasingly, the value is in the characters and their legacy, not so much in the comics themselves. Comics are a medium that's been on the decline for a few years now, and they might not be alone as MCU bubble um, might be about to join them, according to a rumor started by 4chan that is um, the anonymous poster claims Zaslav foresees Marvel declining after Black Panther kind of forever, and that they have 7 good years to finally introduce X-Men before rebooting everything. Alright. Before Iron Man and Captain America are back on the big screen, it says Zaslav wants to make money off Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Aquaman, while fleshing out a quote Justice League cinematic universe unquote. That universe's first film, Black Adam, who will allegedly be turned into the Thanos of the JLCU, and the reintroduction of Superman will follow in the sequel. Last cancellation of projects in production is a means to shore up capital for his vision of big budget DC movies to fill the void Marvel leaves behind, or so the theory goes. Um, so and when they say Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they mean Clark, Bruce, and Diana. It's unclear if Henry Cavill will fit into this, but surges of HBO Max's Constantine reboot, the Batman spinoff, Zatanna, Blue Beetle, Michael Keaton's return, and Gal Gadot are said to be coming. Um, some of that is already being refuted to take the scoop for what it's worth. So there we go with that one. There we go with that one. Uh, well, we do have one more article to go through. All right, here's something that's been getting talked about the last couple weeks as well. Teenage Superman fights online, hate and anger in quotes there, in young adult graphic novel, uh, in small quotes, The Harvest of Youth, um, by Sina Grace. Um, article by J.D. Augustine, um, published on published today. Tina Grace, known for his time with Marvel when they made Iceman gay, is moving over to DC for a young adult graphic novel about Superman's teenage years in Smallville. And all the usual suspects will be there from Lana Lang to Lex Luthor. Tale is called Superman: The Harvest of Youth. Was unveiled at San Diego Comic-Con. Its plot revolves around the young Kryptonian coming to grips with the human mortality of those around him, isolation that comes with his age, and the fight against online communities of, quote, hate and anger, unquote. Of course, it's going to be another agenda pusher, right? Um, Excuse me one more moment because things are getting even dimmer here, so I need to make some lighting adjustments. So I'll be right back. Just put the music on while I'm doing it. I'll be right back here. And I'm back. As always, guys, if anything catches your interest, feel free to comment or ask questions. Anyways, let's continue on with the article here. Um, the book looks at young Clark Kent um, in high school in Smallville as he grapples with the mortality of his friends and family, teen isolation, and the seductive nature of online subcultures built around hate and anger, unquote. Begins the summary, quote, it features characters familiar to longtime superfans like Lana Lang, as well as introducing new characters. It continues, quote, Grace is joined on the book by interior colorist Chris Peter um, from Casanova, written and drawn by Sheena Grace. The book promises to be a, a moving look at the difficulties of growing up and all the pressures and fear that surround that, as well as the joy of taking flight. Now, mind you, though, this is this is a farm community. They're not going to be like kids who are raised on a farm. Usually, are not. I think even today, they're not sitting there constantly online. I don't think as much as maybe kids more in cities. Yeah, but also noteworthy for Ghosted in L.A. and Rockstar and Soft Boy through Image. The writer and illustrator's run at Marvel on Iceman lasted 11 issues before another mini arc came in a reboot. Before his relationship with the House of Ideas um, quickly soured. Grace penned an essay on Tumblr decrying how Marvel's support system for LGBTQ authors and creatives um, considerably lacking in reality, and he took square aim at Big Shot editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski. But despite how things turned out time, Grace is open to a return to Marvel for a crack at the enigmatic Spider-Verse creation Spider-Bitch, and give gave out his pitch on Twitter, wherein he also noted his willingness to apologize to both. Any deal being struck on a Spider-Bitch miniseries has yet to be determined, but Superman: The Harvest of Youth will be available in 2023. All right, so I believe that's the last of the articles for now. So yeah. Oh yeah, it sounds like the graphic novel is going to be another agenda pusher. You know, which of course, as we've seen, those really sell, don't they? Yeah. Let's put our political and societal ideals here, and yes, it worked back. It worked back in the golden age, but it doesn't work now because they're pushing the wrong values. Um, anyway, um, so now that we're of course now that we're done with the article, the ones well. Before we do that, of course, I'll go over some WWE news that happened as in what continues to look like Triple H putting his stamp on the WWE now as the VP in charge of creative. He's looking to bring back, of course, on Friday SmackDown, Karrion Kross and Charlotte returned from after being fired. So they made their appearances, and of course they're being pushed as potential title hold. Somebody who they might put one of the two titles that Reigns has on. There's also talk now, possibility of Johnny Gargano and I can't remember the other guy's name, but a couple guys who are fired now coming back. One of the guys, I know that he went by the name Sam Shaw in the NWA. He actually challenged for the NWA World Title like a month ago. So I've just got to figure out the name. His name was Drew something, or not? Maybe not Drew, but let me just see. Dexter Loomis, that's who it is. Dexter Loomis, and it looked like Dexter Loomis was the guy who was on Raw last night that security escorted out. Looks like so. Looks like WWE may be looking to bring back, maybe considering bringing back Dexter Loomis and Johnny Gargano. And they also on Raw last night. They also started the women's tag tournament with Dakota Kai and Io Sky getting the win over Tamina and Dana Brooke in their match. And they're looking to reestablish. There's been some talk that they may use this to help also try to bring back Sasha Banks and Naomi. And since they didn't actually lose the titles, they surrendered them. They may push the idea of having them come back to face the winners of the tournament, claiming that they never lost the titles. So that could be getting played up here as well. Um, Bobby Lashley had a strong title defense against Ciampa last night on Raw as well. So looks like more and more. It looks like they're doing a lot to kind of get away from Vince's view of pro wrestling, and Triple H is really looking to put his mark on the WWE moving forward. So, well, with that, guys, I think it's now time to start. Good time to start wrapping up. Um, as we are past the hour and a half mark here. So today being Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Take a look back at this day in Leech history. History! Oh, we can already do that. I should probably check the 1907, 1942. Okay. Right. So without any further ado, as I said, take a look back on this day in Leech history. History! So first off, we're going to go back 80 years ago as something really significant happened on this date 80 years ago. And on this date 80 years ago today, um, the world premiere of Bambi from Walt Disney Pictures premiered on this date back in 1942. So on this date back in 1942, 80 years ago today, world premiere of Bambi premiered in London. So there we go with that one. Um, moving on also on this date, going back now 25 years ago today, on this date 25 years ago today, ECW held its Born to Be Wired event from what they called at the time the Asylum Arena in Philadelphia, Missouri. I think is what eventually became known as the ECW Arena. The main event saw Sabu defeat Terry Funk for the ECW World Championship in a no ropes barbed wire match. You also saw Rob Van Dam defeat Tommy Dreamer. Uh, Big Dick, Bubba Ray, and Devon Dudley defeat Axel Wright, Balls Mahoney, and Hack Myers. Taz retained the ECW World Television Championship over Al Snow. Shane Douglas defeated Lance Storm. And that would be about it. So on this date back in 1997, Born to Be Wild from ECW had their event. So with that, we have one more piece of neat history to go through as what had happened on this date 22 years ago today is on this date in 2000, the year 2000, um, the 90th issue of Betty from Archie Comics went on sale on this date back in 2000. So back in 2000, the 90th issue of Betty went on sale on this date back in 2000. It sold for $1.99, 32 page, 32 pages. So with that, guys, I thank you all for being here tonight. I thank you guys for the likes and shares. I wish you guys had stuck around a little longer, but hey, that's good at least. And with that, I hope to see. Don't forget this Friday, of course, have RJ Carter with me as we look back as we continue our look back to April of 1939. Going over Centaur Comics. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow for the latest in niche news and history. So until then, bye.